Hi, welcome to Represent, where diverse voices come together to talk about how issues in the media affect our personal lives. I'm Arabella.
And I'm Gabriella.
Hi, I'm Ngoc, and I'm filling in for Bahika.
So, ladies, the United States made history.
Yes.
Again, like we always do. But this is cool. We now have the most unique Congress in history that we have ever had. The most diverse, the most well-represented, and I think that's really cool. And I think we should talk about some of the unique players, what they bring to the table, how they're going to change the political climate, all that.
And not only are they diverse, but they also made it younger. Look at them. They're beautiful.
Super young.
Super young.
Super young, super hip, super cool.
Yeah, now Congress is 10 years younger and at 49, well, average age of 49 years old.
49. And bringing up age, we should probably talk about a poster child for that, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She is the youngest person in Congress. She comes from New York, and she describes herself as radical.
And I think that there's a lot of people who may think that she's a little hokey, right? But hokey, because she uses all these newfangled things.
Yeah.
But what she said in an interview was that she had to beat her opponent, Joe Crowley, in a different way than just money. Because she only spent $194,000 as opposed to Crowley's $3.4 million on this campaign.
And she raised all that money. She didn't take it from me. She raised all that money from people who truly believed in her. And I think she's become almost the princess of the whole, the princess of Congress. People like to highlight things about her, like her clothing, her dance moves, apparently. And just the fact that she's living like a true millennial. She's a representation, I know, for my age group. I'm 26, and the Republicans were slamming her for not being able to afford an apartment in Washington, D.C. before her swearing in, and they swore in last week. So I know that struggle. I can barely pay my rent. I know that. So I don't see anything wrong with it.
I think she's so real. Like when she went to her confirmation, she was wearing this white dress and red lipsticks and hoop earrings.
The hoop earrings.
I think she's so cool. And she recently was also on 60 Minutes, and it was I didn't actually see the whole thing. I only saw clips of it, but it's been making a lot of headlines about her being there and talk about a lot of things, including calling Trump a racist, which I think is very bold.
It's very bold, but so
especially she's new.
Yeah, and so are a lot of her other ideas. She wants to eliminate emissions in the next 10 years, which means no cars on the road, which is crazy for a lot of people to imagine. She also wants universal health care, and she wants just a more socialist economy in society, which for a lot of people,
including myself,
is a bad word.
It's not that it's a bad word. It's just I believe that you can tax me if I know that you are going to appropriately use that money for services that I do care about, which is like education, healthcare, which is in line with her ideals. But as a small business owner, and also as someone who knows that this is now, well, everyone knows it's the Trump administration, and they're cutting, education funds, arts funding, what else? Healthcare. I mean, if they take more money out of my business and myself, and then not appropriate it properly, maybe if everyone was Bernie Sanders and Alexandria, then maybe I will give them my money.
And and you're not alone in those thoughts. There's a lot of people who feel like that because we've been doing it one way for such a long time. And she's just challenging the status quo. That's all I see it as. Leaders like Kamala Harris have been interviewed on her, and they've asked her, do you feel like she's a representation of the future? And she has said, yeah, because she's challenging rhetoric and challenging laws and challenging behaviors that we've had for a really long time. I personally like it.
Okay, and I love her dance moves. I think we have a video of the dance moves. I can just dance to it.
Maybe it's rolling. Maybe it's rolling. But from New York.
There it is.
Okay, there it is.
Nice.
There it is.
I really relate to her when she dances.
And that's it.
Maybe not the socialism.
So from New York to another cold state, Minnesota. Very, very, very cold. But not that cold because I actually like the representative of Minnesota. Her name's Ilhan Omar. I hope we have a headshot of her.
Yeah, she's actually another one of my favorites.
And she's coming in like, I think like, what would they call it? Almost like a black cat or like a hidden dragon. I don't know, something. But she's really just, she's coming in at a time where we as a country are dealing with xenophobia.
Yep.
We're dealing with people describing certain people as un-American and anti-American, and we're not used to seeing someone in office with a hijab.
Yes.
That's very unusual for a lot of us.
Yeah.
And a Muslim leader at that, because a lot of people do not know the preface or the surrounding entirety of what it means to be Muslim. So she's now showing us what that looks like.
Yeah, I think this is a perfect time for her to be in the office. I mean, she's also a refugee from Somalia. And she was recently on The Daily Show with Trevor Noah. And he was talking about, you know, all these things that we just talked about her. Yeah. And he also said that she's basically, she seems to be against everything that, you know, Trump stands for. Yeah, basically.
Yes, she's an immigrant. She's a first generation. She is what he does not like.
No.
Yeah.
He is what some people will say is not a representation of where our country should be going. But I think she is the perfect representation.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a first generation. I'm an
too.
immigrant. I know you are too, Ngoc. I know you are too, Arabella. And I have never seen somebody who has displayed that and shown that, because she didn't have she didn't have the path to Congress. That's not something her parents laid out for her. She had to pave that on her own. And I think that's amazing, because that's what a lot of first generation people in this country are doing. They're paving the way for themselves. Their parents weren't able to do that for them.
And I just love her response to Noah. She said that I'm the American hope and president's nightmare.
Love it.
Don't you have a favorite yourself too?
Yes.
You chose someone.
Cerise Davis. She's my favorite.
Okay.
Why?
And she's the first Native American to be sworn in.
Yeah, and she's also the
one
first.
of the first two.
Yeah, one of the two, and she's also the first open LGBTQ in the Congress as well.
Awesome.
And you know, since we're talking about the women, I just want to take a moment and think about how we have over 100 women in this Congress.
Yeah, which is it's different. It's much different than I've ever seen it before. And I love that she's from Kansas.
Yeah,
that's
she's
awesome.
From
Kansas is one of those states that I feel like people forget about sometimes, but they had some strong players coming out of there recently, and she's just an example of that. I think her stance on a lot of things is very progressive, as many of the new members of Congress are. But her coming from the LGBTQ background means so much right now, in a time where people in that group are being murdered. They're having hate crimes committed against them. They're dealing with a lot of judgment. They're just not being fully represented in all of their authenticity and who they are. And I think she's a great representation of that, and she's able to show that.
My choice is also an LGBTQ candidate. So Arizona Senator Kyrsten Sinema. Girl.
She's a good one. She's a good one.
So she's the first openly bisexual woman to serve Congress.
Yeah.
She loves sleeveless dresses like my girl Michelle Obama. Love her. And but what's more, this Senate seat that she won replaced the retiring Republican Jeff Flake, and she is the first woman from Arizona to serve in the U.S. Senate. But there's even more. Why I love this woman. She is pretty centrist. So what I think, you know, when we talk about in the next segment with our guest, David Ernst, I'll tell you more about him. I want to talk about like the future of how we're going to go about our government, and I'm really, I'm tired of this sort of like bipartisanship. It's just really having only two choices is not, and like voting according to party lines is not the way we're going to move forward, in my opinion. So Kyrsten Sinema has actually started off with the Green Party, even though she's a Democrat now.
And she's in a purple state.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
It's not red.
Arizona. It's purple now.
Yeah.
And she, and while she supports the DREAM Act, which is for the development, relief, and education of alien minors, which is something I believe in because I'm an immigrant, as you said.
Yeah.
She also really is very, she votes conservative on taxes, which I believe in too. Fiscally responsible, social, progressive.
People don't play when it comes to their money. People don't play around.
I don't.
It is just a fact that I found. Like she was actually homeless.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
When she was a child for 3 years.
I did not know that.
So that's why she's using her personal hardship to run for her platform.
Yeah, she's doing
very different.
She's doing a lot of unconventional things. When she swore in, she swore in on the Constitution. A lot of people swear in on the Bible. So people were pretty shocked by that fact alone.
Yeah, on a law book. That's what you should be doing.
Which seems logical, but I think a lot of people...
Separation of church and state.
Hey, we just...
That's what we're founded
Americans love a good Bible. And I feel like she broke that barrier down real quick. So we already know that she's not going to follow the traditional route.
Yeah.
Another thing with her that I really admire is her recollection and her underlining of John McCain, because he is very popular in Arizona. And what's interesting is her opponent didn't highlight John McCain. First, it rubbed a lot of Arizonian people the wrong way because he is a hero for them. And he's a hero for a lot of us.
Yeah.
And so she highlighted him and she exclaimed herself, I have really big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
So she's aware of what she's doing. She's very conscious, which I admire.
Do you have one more favorite?
I think I have one more favorite. What can I pull out of my bag? Rashida Tlaib.
Okay.
She's from Michigan.
Okay.
And
tell me more.
She is one of the most controversial. There's a headshot of her. Wonderful. She's one of the most controversial members of Congress, and I'm going to tell you why. So she's a Palestinian American. The U.S., if most of you don't know, has a really troubled past with Palestine. We do not honor them as a state. We do not acknowledge them as that, and so there's a lot of turmoil with that. We sided with Israel in that debate. And so she is just busting down the doors saying like, hey, I'm Palestinian, I'm here, I'm American. I have no qualms about that, and neither should you. So I like how she's bringing the beauty of a place that we have condemned for a while into the picture.
She's also very bold, and when I did my research on her, she's actually a mother of 2 boys, and the oldest of 14 children.
14.
Holy moly!
God bless her mother.
Oh my goodness! I don't know how she has time for this.
She's so strong.
I mean, speaking of which, I have to talk about David Ernst, who is our guest of honor today. But before we do that, we're going to talk about WeXL, which is my nonprofit, right?
I can't wait to meet David. And for those of you guys who don't know, this show Represent is produced by a nonprofit called WeXL, which is founded by no other than Arabella right here. It's to empower diverse creative talent through media and community. So stay tuned while we take a break, and then we're going to show you guys a video more about it.
WeXL is a 501c3 nonprofit that recruits, nurtures, and empowers diverse creative talent. We harness the power of media and community to help creatives carve productive career paths so that they may excel as purposeful influencers and global leaders who make this world a better place for all. In the first year of operation, the WeXL community grew through dedicated hard work and tender, loving care for the creative process. At times, it was exhausting. So why do this? We do this because of Maria, a Cal State LA student and successful YouTuber. After 5 years of spending countless hours producing videos for her channel, she asked herself,
can I use this time wiser? not only do I need to work on school, but I also legit need to work for money. I need income. Not only that, but I want to help my parents out. But just know that if I'm not posting within the next few months, I'm busting my ass to get that degree. That doesn't mean that I don't want to be here doing this.
We do this because of Vijay, an immigrant from India. As a film student in San Francisco, he made an award-winning comedic short exemplifying the essence of American multiculturalism. We do this because of Caesar, a software developer in New York, who taught himself full-stack JavaScript programming while serving almost 8 years in prison for a crime he pleaded innocent to.
Because of my incarceration, my skills in drawing have grown, and its grown has caused my patience as a person to grow.
We do this because diverse companies are 33% more likely to have financial returns above their national industry average.
At Microsoft in particular, we're really focused on diversity and inclusion as a way to strengthen our organization and to make Microsoft more competitive. So we know that diversity and inclusion is the right thing to do, but it also is the right thing to do for our business in terms of making us a stronger organization.
We do this because of the opportunities in front of us, where the creative industries combined contribute $2.25 trillion to the global economy. We do this because video content is projected to be 82% of online consumer traffic by 2021. And there's a film renaissance in Oakland. In this first year of operation, we've brought together mentors and emerging talent. We've also showcased, recommended, and connected the most active members of our community to creative leadership opportunities, some of which are paid work from our corporate partners. Every growth industry like tech and media needs diverse, hardworking, creative talent, from innovators to builders to storytellers. Please join us in creative abundance. Hi, welcome back to Represent. And today we have my good friend David Ernst. He is the founder and CEO of Liquid US. But before we talk to you, I found a little clip that is a perfect introduction of why you're here on the show today. So let's roll that clip.
I want to point out that our current democratic infrastructure, our political process, what we call representative democracy, is mostly 18th century technology. A time before electricity, when it took a week to get a single message from one city to the next. And yet it has served us relatively well for hundreds of years. But it's also showing signs of not necessarily keeping up, especially with the scale of how large our democracies have become. There are many issues, but perhaps one way to sum it up is that we're faced with widespread problems of underrepresentation.
Thank you so much for being here. I am so honored to have you as a guest. And that was at the Indian Conference on Technology, Security, and Society. And one of the reasons why we wanted you here is to talk about representation and how to achieve such better representation in our government now that we're in 2019. So can you tell us more about how Liquid US is going to do that?
Absolutely, and thanks for having me. It's great to be here as well. One thing I would comment on is it's wonderful to elect better people, and of course we should do everything we can to elect better people, but also just that the system itself makes it really hard for a lot of people to have a seat at the table, and that it's incentivized over a long time to keep the people in power, to keep them to hold on to that power. And so there are some ideas out there that have been explored and are starting to gain some steam about how we can include many, many more people in the democratic process, and how we can expand representation so that so many more groups that currently aren't really being heard from, and so many more people that can't really compete with all the big money, can really have an authentic voice in our process.
How do you do that, though?
Yeah, so very simply, the way the system is designed right now is every 2 years or every 4 years, we pick just one person to be our elected representative, and just that one person gets the seat, and everyone else goes home. It's almost like a cage match. Like all these candidates enter, and just one person makes it. And that was a really innovative system 250 years ago. It was really powerful in a time when everyone's farming, 90% of the population's farming, And so it's really hard. You need some people to go away to the Capitol to focus on all these issues. But today we all have these smartphones in our pocket. So many people are connected online, or watching YouTube, or connected through social media platforms and other ways, even if they don't like that. And so we have so much more connectivity available. And so there's a lot of ideas out there of, oh, what if everyone could vote directly on all policy? And it's an interesting idea. Famously, if you follow this stuff, Elon Musk has said when he starts a Mars colony, he thinks this is the way the Mars colony is going to be run. This is what the future societies ought to look like. So you can really hear from everybody. But it's not, there's a number of problems with it, the most important of which is that policy is really complicated.
It is, yeah.
And these issues, it takes a lot of time to really understand the various realities of different decisions and trade-offs, and so representation is a great thing.
Yeah.
It's really nice that we can focus on our lives, and we don't have to study hundreds of different issues all the time. Of course, we should know as much as we can.
Yeah. So with that being said, how does the app work?
Yeah.
How does your app work? I'm so curious
And
to
is
know.
is it running right now?
Yeah.
Can we download it
Totally.
from our phone?
Yeah, so Liquid US is now available nationwide throughout the US. And it's based on this idea called liquid democracy, which is this idea that's been around for 20 years or so. And to your question, how does it work? The basic premise is that you as an individual citizen can always weigh in for or against on any policy, as if you yourself are a congressperson. And then anytime you don't have an opinion on an issue, you've already pre-selected your own representatives, personal representatives that you chose yourself.
Someone in your life that you trust.
Yeah, whether it's a different elected congressperson you like, or whether it's someone that you work with that you really trust, or even a family member or a friend, the point is you get to choose your own representative.
Okay. Even your kid,
Personalized.
even
Totally.
your child. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. You get to actually be in control of your own vote. And so what that means is if you don't vote on an issue directly, your voting power gets passed to your representative. So you get the best of both worlds.
Awesome.
You always have the opportunity to speak up, and you can always trust that your voice is still being heard the rest of the time.
And where is the app being used now? And has it been effective?
Yeah, absolutely. So all this is relatively new. We launched about a year ago. And it's available right now, so anyone can go to liquid.us and any phone or computer or library. You can even send a text message to start using it if you text the word liquid.
That's cool.
To the number 474747.
Shameless plug.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to get it, we want to make it. The point is, we want to make it as easy as possible.
Yes.
And it only takes a minute or two. It's totally free. And to your point, where is it being used? It's being used in 47 states now, in almost every state, including DC.
That's awesome.
And it's being used on the local level. So there's been a lot of activity in Oakland. That's
Okay.
actually been one of our biggest
Which is an
places to take-
epicenter for social justice and always has been. So that's really cool.
Well, there's just so many people that want to speak up and are really looking to make a difference, but so many of us don't know what to do or where we go or how we participate. And so everyone on our team at Liquid are trying to make it as easy as possible and as trustworthy as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question. So,
Please.
since how can you ensure that this is the app is safe in terms of hacking?
Totally.
So
Yeah.
how do you go about that?
Completely. So on the front end, when you join, you have to verify your voter registration status.
I see.
If you don't want to, you can still participate without doing that, but once you do that, then your elected rep knows, oh, this person's actually in my district, they're a registered voter, make sure everyone only has one account. And it's very simple. We can actually check the phone records and the official voter rolls. So we've figured out a way to do it pretty quickly.
People forget that it's public information,
Yeah.
who you're registered under or what affiliation you are with.
Exactly. And then on the other end, every time you vote, you have options if you want to be public or you want to keep things private. And in either case, we sort of give you, it's like a vote receipt. And so you can actually make sure that your vote got entered correctly, and you can verify that elsewhere. And you can say, hey, look, there's my vote, while still protecting your privacy.
Yeah.
So if you want to keep your position secret, you have that option, but you always know that things are still working right.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So a very simple way that we sort of frame it is it's like they always say, call your senator, call your congressperson, make sure they know where you stand on this issue. We're making it a lot easier and bringing a lot more transparency to that process.
Yeah. That's a big one.
Yeah.
So where do you think the future of politics is going, where apps are getting involved and people are trusting other people more so with their thoughts than themselves? Where do you think the future is going?
Well, the world is getting more complicated by the day. And it's really hard to keep up with everything going on. And so one of the key ideas that we're trying to help push forward is that it's too much to expect every last person to know everything about everything. Just like with our jobs, some people are going to specialize in teaching and other people are going to specialize in cooking, and we have different talents and interests. We're trying to make that possible for representation as well. So you might be really knowledgeable when it comes to education policy, and your friends might be really knowledgeable when it comes to foreign policy. And you can help each other out in that sort of way.
That's cool.
And what encouraged you to make the app?
Well, I have to live in this world just like the rest of us.
Do you?
Yeah, and so, but in all seriousness, like if you look at some of the stats on this stuff, there's some really concerning early warning signs. If you look at like the metrics of how many people say it's essential to live in a democracy, it's just kind of falling. It's really harrowing. And if you just look at all the frustration that's been going on these past few years, I think some of the most visible signs that we see are really a symptom of a system that people don't believe in anymore.
Okay.
And so I have some background in this stuff. My family was involved in a lot of politics, and I have some technical experience. So I saw a unique opportunity to try to offer some sort of alternative, and there are a lot of other people working on this as well.
That's really cool.
And maybe for my symptoms, you can offer some. You're not a doctor, I'm just kidding. I was just popping up wrong. Sorry about that. But David, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, it was
and
so
for
good to
sharing
have you.
your knowledge and your app.
Yeah,
That's
really cool.
incredible. Keep on doing what you're doing. And that's it for today. If you have any ideas for guests and topics, please feel free to give us a call at 833-939-5674 and visit us at www.wexl.org and follow us on social media. I'm Arabella, and these are my co-hosts.
Thanks for watching.
You guys are awesome. And our guest, David. Woo! Have a great 2019.